I am Kranix. My planet was destroyed by Unicron.
And here is a look at the Transformers Studio Series from Transformers the Movies Kranix. So here you can see the instructions and the accessories. You just get a handgun that just goes in his hand, and the steps to the transformation, which is really easy. And the handgun, I think there is storage on the alt mode, which is right here. So here's a look at that. And here is a look at the figure, but real quick, here is the accessory, his handgun. And as always, they can simply just tab into his hand like so. And here is a look at the figure. So first, taking a close-up look, you could see this is a very nicely sculpted and painted face. And as you look down, you could see all the simply sculpted details. They put in some contour lines, the shape of the forms here, and the little toes on the front and the two sides. So yeah, this is really nice. And just to compare it with the animation model, you could see they did a nice job sculpting the figure, the shapes, the proportions, the colors. Overall, they did a really nice job. And even from the back, you could see they even put the little thrusters back there, which is also nicely painted. So yeah, this is a really nice figure. So in terms of the articulation, you could see the head does rotate side to side. It's not on a ball joint, so yeah, you can't get the head tilt, but there is a hinge where the head can look up, and that you can also use to, I don't think this is like his mouth, but you could pretend it is, but it is part of the transformation. So yeah, here's a look at that. And then here you could see the shoulders. They can go forward, they can go back, they can go out to the side. You do get bicep swivel, you do get elbow joint, and no hand rotation, but hand can tilt down a little bit, but that's due to the transformation. Spread his arms out, and you could see he does have a waist rotation and no ab crunch, but his legs can go forward, they can go back, they can go, they do have the thigh rotation, and they can go out to the side. And he does have a knee joint, and he does have a really tiny ankle tilt. But yeah, I think it's good to know the tolerance is really tight. Just like all in, other areas, the tolerance on this figure is really tight. But, there's no worries because they don't interfere with manipulating the parts for transformation or anything. And as always, the mainline figures, the quality plastic is very durable, so you don't have to worry about damage or breakage. So here is a look at Kranix in his robot mode.
My planet was destroyed by Unicron.
Unicron? Who's Unicron?
A planet that devours everything in its path.
So that's the monster's name.
And now for some comparisons. First, let's bring out Hot Rod and Cup as they appeared in the movie. And I always like to speak to things that people say and other reviews or comments and stuff like that. I know some people, they like to put this with the masterpiece scale because, you think that this is really large. Well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but this is accurate in terms of the scale and proportion. When you carefully watch the movie, you'll see that both of these characters are standing on the same flat surface, and you could see when they're talking to each other, their heads are like this, next, the same height. So this is actually not a masterpiece scale. This is a scale that fits in with your mainline figure. So I don't know if that upsets or disappoints anyone, but I always like to just point out things. But so now that we understand that that this does scale with the other mainline figures, it's not too small or too big or things like that. This is the exact appropriate height. You could see these look really great together. So just like the movie, yeah, you could see they scale really well with each other. So here's a look at that. And for just a quick comparison, here is Kranix next to these Alicons. And I like to document things, so I have actually 3 more that are unopened. So just wanted to show you that so you could see the scale between these two. These actually go good with Hot Rod and Cup. But yeah, here's a look, Kranix with the alligator cons. And for another comparison, here he is next to the Kranix that came in that exclusive 5-pack from San Diego Comic-Con or Hasbro Pulse. It was the Quintesson Pit of Judgment. So here you could see, first, you could zoom in, take a closer look. This is a really nicely sculpted little figure. Yeah, it has kind of like this really hard, rubbery type plastic. But you could see that they actually still took the time to do a nice job sculpting it and putting in some paint. For such a small figure, I think it's about 1.5 inches tall. And I think this is where some people get the confusion that maybe this is too big and that this fits in with the masterpiece. Like I already pointed out, the scale is appropriate with the deluxe figures in the mainline. But here, this is the small one. And so this one, now that we got a deluxe size that fits in with the mainline collection, not the masterpiece collection, it should be much taller. This is now going into my Mech Fans Toys collection, which I'll show you later. But here, you could see the scale. It's almost like a little doll that he can carry himself. So yeah, you could see what I was telling you. They took a lot of time just to sculpt this little figure. And to bring out the rest, first, let me just move him out of the way. So you could see everything that came with this 5-pack. And I kind of regret throwing away the that display, that box diorama display. But yeah, here you could see the Quintesson. I'll show you the cool features. I'm sort of digressing here, just showing you all of the things that this came with. And this came with a different deco of the Legend Scale Sharktacon Null. And I think this is the Prosecutor. So here, you could see the scale is off. So in terms of scale, this small Kranix fits in really well with the Prosecutor. And we really need a deluxe scale figure of the Prosecutor along with the other Quintessons, along with the Sharktacons. So here, first, I just wanted to bring these out to show you, because these go in my Mech Fans Toys Legends collection. So here, so these are what we have, and now we could bring them out. And so here you could see the scale here is a little bit more accurate. He is a little tall compared to one of the Quintesson guards, because if you see the cartoon, or not the cartoon, but the movie when they came in here to get him, yeah, they were obviously about a little taller, maybe about 1 inch taller is what it should be. And then just because of the inaccuracy in the deco, Yeah, this one came in that Buzzing Bumblebee 5-pack Troop Builder set. So it's basically the same, just a different redeco, and neither of these are actually accurate to the animation colors. I mean, you know me, I could point out all the little differences, but in short, neither one of these are accurate to the movie, but they are sculpted to be very accurate to the movie, and they are still nicely painted. It looks really cool. So whichever one that you like, the one that came in that Judgment Pit, Quintesson Pit of Judgment 5-pack, or that Buzzing Bumblebee 4-pack, that Troop Builder set. So here now you can kind of use these two, like when they came in, to grab Kranix, to carry him out, to be executed. So yeah, here's just the another quick comparison.
Has the Imperial Magistrate reached a verdict? I have. Guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
And as far as that little Kranix that I was telling you is now going to go with my Mech Fans Toys Legends collection, along with some of the other Hasbro and Takata. And I actually bought 2 more of the Hasbro Titans Return because I want to have 3, since I do have 3 of the Takata version that came with the Cyclonus or Scourge head. And then here's the Mech Fans Toys, which I think are made really well, because these are the only Sharkticons that have the little antennas. And you can see I have 3 of these, but actually I have 2 more boxes. So altogether I have 9, which I'm debating if I should open. And then here is the KO undersized version of the Studio series. So here you could see this is a pretty impressive collection of the legend scale Sharkticons to go with the small Kranix that came in that 5-pack. So yeah, just documenting all of this just to let you know what I'm going to do with this. And here, this is also that what is it, Super 7 figures, the Quintessons, and I actually have 4 more of these, which I'm debating if I should open that up to complete this. But yeah, still working on completing it, because like I said, we need a deluxe scale of the Prosecutor and the Mainline, along with the other Quintessons. But anyways, here is a look at the legend scale Kranix with all these other Sharkticons.
I repeat, guilty or innocent. Innocent.
So as far as Kranix goes, the deluxe scale Kranix that goes with the Mainline collection, it would be nice if they gave us a Arbulus as well. And you know, you kind of anticipate that they would, because it, you know, Hasbro's always about the money, just like some reviewers. And so since it's basically the same sculpt, just a slight retool, you can easily anticipate that they would just do a redeco into Arbulus. But because it's Hasbro, you never know their market strategy. They're probably thinking, well, what can we do to kind of sell one and then sell another one? So maybe that's why we didn't get it, because they're anticipating how to get more money out of the same mold. But anyways, just wanted to share that. But as far as this goes, I was telling you, this goes with the Mainline collection. This is that 5-pack that I have 4 of the other versions, along with all these Sharkticons as well. So just like that movie. And I do have 3 more of these that are not opened, and that I'm also thinking about opening it, so I would have 9 of these all together. But yeah, here I'm just sharing with you what I want to do with this to add to my collection. And like I said, we need a Arbalest, and along with the other quintessons like the Prosecutor and stuff like that. But anyways, here's just a quick look at some of the other characters that this figure, Kranix, goes really well with. Now, as far as this fitting in with the Masterpiece scale, here I just brought out the Fans Toys version of Hot Rod and Cup. And so here you could see exactly what I was telling you. The scale is off. He's too short, because you saw from the movie when they're talking to each other, they're not talking like this. They're talking head to head, face to face. So here I just thought I'd show you that, the comparison. So you know that this really doesn't fit in with your Masterpiece collection. But speaking of Masterpiece, here, this actually scales really well. This is the KO oversize of the Sharkticons. So yeah, and unfortunately I only got 3 of these, or only bought 1. That was a 3-pack. And so yeah, I don't have a lot of Sharkticons for the KO oversize. But here you could see this is actually kind of cool. So if I had a lot of them, you can kind of replicate that scene where, you know, these Sharkticons were ripping apart Kranix. But either way, my point is this still looks good, and this really doesn't fit in with the Masterpiece collection. But yeah, here is a look at Kranix with some of the other Masterpiece figures.
The ships! Get to the ships! It's our only chance!
So now let's transform Kranix to his alt mode and take a look at that. So to transform him, this is pretty easy. So I'm going to try to do the same thing and just randomly talk about something else as I transform it slowly and deliberately, so you can observe the way I'm transforming and manipulating the parts for the transformation. So first, in terms of this figure, as you could see, transforming it is very easy with all your mainline figures. And that's part of the product design. I was telling you to keep the designs very simple. And so because it's designed very simple, that's one of the reasons why it's easy to transform the figure. But also, unlike third-party companies, and this is not saying anything bad, you know, there's so many parts that makes it a little bit more challenging to transform and manipulate the figures, because there's a lot of parts. And yeah, I could go on explaining more with that, but yeah, in short, the mainline figures are easy to transform. And so yeah, that's one of the great things about collecting mainlines. So if you like enjoying the fun factor transforming the figures, collecting mainline is definitely a good way to go, because yeah, you could just transform these figures back and forth, which makes transforming these figures really fun and enjoyable. So yeah, so as I'm running out of things to say, you could see the transformation is easy, but yeah, there's always good things to point out, such as the tolerance on these parts is, yeah, really tight for some reason. And that's typically what Hasbro does with some of their figures. And then now we have him in his alt mode, and for his gun, you could just simply store that up here. And now we have Kranix transformed into his alt mode. And here is a look at Kranix in his alt mode. And yeah, I always like to speak to things I know the community has to say about figures and stuff like that. So first, yeah, I'm gonna just acknowledge the fact that people are saying this looks like a flying duck, and so you have to understand they're speaking in the terms of the aesthetics. So aesthetically speaking, yes, this does look like some sort of flying bird, like a flying duck with a beak and stuff like that. But the way I always try to understand it is putting it into the proper context. Why? Always to said a good thing to do is ask questions why. Well, why does it look like this? Obviously, when you understand that this is based on the original designs, you could see why it looks like this. And even though he never appeared in the movie, because they never used this design in the movie, yeah, there's a reason why it looks like this. So for me, when I look at this, I look back to like I think season 2 and 3, when they were showing you some of the older Transformer characters, their alternate alt modes. So this is kind of how I look at it. And to kind of make it make sense, they never made sense transforming into vehicles with these canopies and cockpits because they're not headmasters at that time where little figures go in. Here, they basically were meant to turn into vehicles that can move around or fly around. So technically, there should be no cockpit in here or a canopy for vehicles. So that's kind of how I look at this to try to appreciate this design. It's basically a robot that turns into a flying thing. And I also look at this from a design point of view that, to be able to see where they're going, it makes sense that the head would be up here. And you could see they did give you thrusters back here to help fly, and also these wings so that, he can also fly. So that's kind of, I'm just sharing with you my way of, trying to look at things to understand. Because anyone could always criticize and complain about things aesthetically, which they're entitled to. Everyone has their preference. And I'm not disagreeing with any of it. I'm just sharing with you. I have a different outlook on a lot of things. My approach is just to really try to understand. But anyways, here's a look at that. And for some comparisons, let's compare this with the animation model, and you could see everything I was telling you. But for me, the things I always get nitpicky is the accuracy. So you could see these wings are not colored the same pinkish magenta color that this should be. But either way, that's still nice. They put the missile up here, so it looks really nice. And I was telling you, it would be nice if they gave us Arbulus, which they can easily do, because you could see it's pretty much the same figure, just maybe the gun is going to come at the bottom to the tip of his underneath the his head. So yeah, like I said, I anticipate, like some of us do, that we probably will get an Arbulus. But knowing Hasbro's market strategy team, they're saying, well, before we do it, let's figure out how can we produce more of those figures to get more money. So maybe that's what the delay is. But anyways, just sharing things. But here you could see what Arbulus looks in his alt mode. So now, to end the review, I'll give you my final thoughts as I transform Kranix back to robot mode. So in terms of my final thoughts on this figure, yeah, this, hopefully everything I already said and mentioned kind of makes sense in helping to understand, how I'm looking at this. So first, that this is not a masterpiece scale, and people are probably getting that idea based on that small legend scale that came in that Quintesson Pit of Judgment San Diego Comic-Con exclusive 5-pack. And, I showed you the comparisons, so you could see that clearly the scale and proportion of this does fit in with your Mainline. And you could see how it definitely does not scale well with the masterpiece. So just correcting that this is not scaled to fit in with the masterpiece. This is perfectly scaled to fit in with the Mainline collection. And now that this fits in with the Mainline collection, being a somewhat of a completist, yeah, I'm really hoping that they will give us all of the other characters from the movies, such as the Arbulus, and also some of those other quintessons that they didn't make, such as the prosecutor. And I could see that there's a challenge in making that because, you know, the people don't agree, but these are targeted for kids. I mean, it's product design. This is designed for kids, and so you have to think like what the company does is how do they sell these to the kids. So how do you make that prosecutor figure something interesting for the kids to buy? So that's one of the challenges. I see why we're not getting some of the other quintessons, because do you see kids wanting that figure? If you don't see kids wanting that figure, that probably explains why we're not getting those. But hopefully we somehow will get the Hasbro will find a way to make those other missing characters from the movie. But now that we got him back in his robot mode, now I can just give you my final thoughts. Overall, you know, this is a really nice figure, despite some aesthetic issues in the alt mode that people don't like. But this also goes great with your Season 3 collection, which I'm really happy with. And you saw the transformations, very easy, so it makes it fun transforming it back and forth. Plastic quality, as always with Hasbro, it's very durable, so no worries of breakage and stuff. And it's nicely sculpted, nicely painted. It does capture the movie aesthetics very well, so there's a lot of positives with this figure. So I'll just end there. So those are my final thoughts and my review for the Studio series from Transformers the movie, Kranix.